Shedeur's debut was real, the kind of tape that forces people to stop arguing about his draft slide and start arguing about whether he belongs on a 53-man roster. But the disconnect between what fans saw on Friday night and where the Browns have him on the depth chart is less a sign of malice or incompetence and more a product of how NFL teams actually evaluate and manage quarterback competition. Here's a practical breakdown of why the depth chart conservatism makes sense, what the Browns are balancing, and how Shedeur can keep converting headline moments into concrete opportunity. First, what happened on the field matters, but so does the context. Sanders did exactly what a rookie in his position needed, handled a pro offense with limited reps, protected the ball, made a few pro-level throws in the red zone, and finished with clean numbers that didn't require a highlight reel to validate. That performance reduces risk on tape. It doesn't, however, erase all unknowns. Coaches still need to answer. How does he handle a full week of starter reps? How does he react to complex defensive adjustments? Can he sustain mechanics over 60, 70 snaps? Preseason half games are persuasive, but still narrow samples. Second, evaluation is multidisciplinary. NFL decision makers don't simply promote the player who produced the flashiest single game. They compile a checklist: health and durability, command of the huddle, playbook mastery, consistent footwork and throwing mechanics, ability to process and diagnose pressure, leadership in practice, and intangibles like temperament under stress. For a fifth-round rookie who started camp fourth on the depth chart, the default coaching bias is conservative, especially when the roster already has veterans and higher-drafted quarterbacks under contract. Coaches are also accountable for weekly wins and protecting a franchise. That risk aversion shows up in slow roster movement. Third, timing and reps are currency. The Browns only have a handful of meaningful presences left to evaluate quarterbacks. 2 more preseason games, joint practices with strong competition, and a shrinking window of 11-on-11 reps where starters get real looks. Fans equate one great showing with a permanent leap up the chart. Coaches treat it as evidence that warrants more looks, not an immediate title change. Importantly, coaching staffs prefer to stagger reps, exposing a rookie progressively to thermally hotter conditions, because accelerating that curve risks injury or mechanical regression. When reporters note Sanders received the most reps on Monday, that's precisely what the coaching staff should be doing: controlled exposure to accelerate evaluation without burning him out. Fourth, roster mechanics matter. Most teams keep 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. Keeping 4 is unusual and costly in terms of special teams and depth elsewhere. That mathematical reality constrains what Sanders' surge can do immediately. The Browns must weigh short-term PR value and ratings uplift against long-term roster flexibility. There are still ways to protect him: practice squad elevation, active week designations, or a late-season promotion after clearer evidence. But each approach carries trade-offs. Fans who demand an instant elevation may underestimate how many things must align for the team to justify that move. Fifth, the narrative economy is unforgiving. Sanders' national attention, celebrity endorsements, Nike ad content, and viral social media changes the optics and increases scrutiny. That visibility is an asset in negotiation and brand building, but it also raises expectations that coaches and front offices did not create and cannot instantly fulfill. The Browns must manage public perception while retaining control of the evaluation process. Rushing a rookie because of PR heat can damage long-term trust between player and organization. Sitting him too long risks alienating a fan base and diminishing his commercial momentum. So what should Sanders and the Browns prioritize between now and final cuts? For Sanders, focus on fundamentals. Reps that show repeatable mechanics, footwork, platform, release matter more to coaches than highlight throws. Emphasize learning and leadership in practice. Coaches reward players who command the huddle and improve teammates. Protect the body. Avoid anything that compromises availability. Missing reps because of avoidable injury is the quickest way to stall momentum. Use the spotlight smartly. Media moments and endorsements are helpful, but measured public messaging about work, process, and patience keeps the narrative aligned with team goals. For the Browns, continue progressive exposure. Give Sanders scripted game reps that stress decision-making without exposing him to every variable at once. Be transparent where possible. Explain the evaluation benchmarks publicly so fans understand the process and coaches get breathing room. Use roster creativity. If he proves valuable in limited packages, explore practice squad protections or temporary elevations rather than a permanent fourth QB carry that hurts roster balance. Don't conflate popularity with readiness. Marketability is real value. It rarely substitutes for consistent on-field evidence when the season starts. What's the most likely outcome? The simplest prediction is incrementalism. Sanders earns more reps during joint practices and the final preseason game, but the Browns start the season with a veteran-first structure, Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, or similar, while Sanders remains a protected developmental asset. If he stays healthy and demonstrates equal or better play in the remaining reps, the team will either keep him active or do everything to prevent another franchise from plucking him off the practice squad. If he misses reps or struggles, the Browns lean veteran, which is conservative but conventional. Finally, a realistic mental model for fans. Think in months, not moments. Sanders' social media clout and TV ratings are advantages that should compound if he keeps playing well and staying healthy. His path won't be instantaneous just because the moment felt seismic. NFL careers are built from repeated, incremental proofs, not single nights of fireworks. The best-case scenario is still in reach, but it requires the same thing every good prospect needs: production, availability, and the patience of a team willing to let the process decide, not the timeline of a viral clip. Shedeur Sanders lit up the preseason in his first NFL start, and the reaction from fans was instantaneous: disbelief, celebration, and a chorus demanding the Browns move him up the depth chart immediately. That enthusiasm is understandable. Sanders' fall to pick number 144 felt inexplicable to many observers, and his debut, 2 TDs, no turnovers, crisp decision-making under pressure, looked like vindication. But what fans are asking for and how NFL roster building actually works are two different things. First, the draft slide. Yes, it was unfair in the eyes of many. Yes, Sanders showed at Colorado he deserves more attention than a day 3 pick. But once the draft is over, team evaluations shift from narrative grievances to football metrics, contracts, and timelines. Popularity, social media clout, or a viral half game don't replace the careful, risk-averse processes NFL teams follow when shaping a roster and naming starters. That's the core tension fueling today's outrage. Fans see one game and expect the Browns to shrug off a months-long evaluation, bench veterans, and immediately crown a rookie as starter. That's not how it works. The Browns have real constraints and rational reasons for the order they've built. Joe Flacco is a trusted veteran. Dillon Gabriel and Kenny Pickett bring draft capital and prior investment. 2 of those QBs have caps, guarantees, or roster status that factor into decisions. Coaches weigh readiness, injury risk, scheme fit, and the long-term plan. They're not picking based on tweets. Still, there's nuance. The team isn't ignoring Sanders. He was QB4 coming into camp, but that was then. Since the preseason debut, he's received more attention on the field. Notably, the first practice after the game was the first time Sanders took more team rep sets than any other quarterback. That's not public theater. That's a concrete sign the coaching staff is increasing his live work. Injuries to Pickett and Gabriel complicate the picture and open windows that could accelerate things, but those openings must be handled carefully. Patience isn't passive. It's strategic. There are 2 more preseason games and joint practices, including sessions against the Super Bowl champs, ahead. Those are meaningful opportunities for Sanders to build tape, grow in the playbook, and prove he can consistently execute under varied conditions. If he